It's become fashionable, tediously so, and I'm dealing with this because somebody has picked up on my comment that Kemi Badenoch, Liz Truss, and Rachel Reeves all share this reverence for Margaret Thatcher, um, and and yes, many female politicians seem to style themselves in Britain in homage to Thatcher. Rachel Reeves, Liz Truss, and Kemi Badenoch are just three women from different political backgrounds, different political traditions, bound by gender, yes, and more tellingly, by a reverence for a political matriarch they misunderstand. And they see in Thatcher a kind of masculine, inflected invincibility. They mimic her tone, they appropriate her aesthetics, the handbag, the shoulders, the cool reserve, but the slow speech. But in doing so, they forget one vital detail. Thatcher was not cosplay, she was combat. Let's begin with Rachel Reeves, because she's the person really in the centre at the moment. In her spring statement, Rachel Reeves offered as a careful, Treasury-pleasing performance of fiscal restraint, a nod to the bond markets, curtsy to the OBR, a vague hand gesture in the direction of growth. And her announcement, spending cuts to welfare, AI-powered tax crackdowns, frozen thresholds, were not Thatcherite in substance but mimetic in tone, and discipline without daring, policy that manages decline rather than reverses it. And actually, when it comes to the reduction of the civil service, you know, we had all this talk about, and I was for a short while taken in by it, the idea of the reduced numbers in NHS England. But of course, in the contract for any NHS worker, if they are made redundant from one area, they are immediately offered a job elsewhere in the NHS. And this presumably is how Paula Venables ended up being employed there. So I don't know what's happened to her now, but and others. This revolving door of the civil service means you can't really prune it. Liz Truss, meanwhile, attempted the full Thatcher tribute act, posing on tanks, reciting Liberty platitudes, delivering that ill-fated mini-budget that blew a £30 billion hole in the economy. Truss wanted the Iron Lady effect so much without the iron grip on detail, without bothering to actually do the hard work. Thatcher might have slashed taxes, but not without months of confrontation, argument, and ideological groundwork. Truss mistook a slogan for a strategy. Thatcher read Hayek. Truss read the headlines. And Kemi Badenoch, fiercely intelligent, rhetorically assured, ideologically clear, oh, for goodness sake, comes closest to the Thatcher spirit in one sense. She relishes the fight. But she's fundamentally lazy, and where Thatcher debated Brussels bureaucrats and faced down Scargill in the Commons, Badenoch seems more interested in fighting straw men, woke warriors, civil servants, imaginary Marxists hiding in HR departments. Her culture war approach echoes Thatcher's defiance but lacks her strategic direction. What all three fail to grasp is that Margaret Thatcher didn't need to seize authority. Authority was conferred upon her by the astonishing command of debate, by her grasp of economics, and curiously enough, by Soviet propaganda. Yes, the Iron Lady moniker was coined not by the Conservative Central Office, but by Yuri Gavrilov, a young journalist in Krasnaya, the Soviet military newspaper. In 1976, in response to a hawkish speech denouncing Soviet aggression, he dubbed her the Iron Lady, expecting the British press to recoil. Instead, Thatcher embraced it. She said, "I'm standing here in my red chiffon dress, blah, blah, blah." Not only did she wear the insult as armour, she wielded it as a political brand. It was the Soviets unintentionally who bestowed on her the mythic status these modern-day emulators covet. But Thatcher wasn't myth alone, she was method. She read widely, she argued furiously, she listened carefully. And crucially, she challenged her own side. She dismantled consensus not with slogans, but with ideas. She courted opposition because she relished the contest. The lady was not for turning, but she was always for debating. And compare this to the modern Iron Lady pretenders. Reeves has the technocratic calm, but none of the fire. Her spring statement prioritised presentability over purpose, headroom over headway. Her welfare reforms punish without plan, demanding work without providing jobs, cutting support without offering structure. Even the Resolution Foundation predicts it will leave people poorer, not more productive. Truss offered velocity without vision. Her economic agenda was launched without explanation, debate or groundwork. It was a Thatcherite smash and grab, minus the homework. Lazy. Thatcher picked her moments. Truss misjudged hers entirely. And Badenoch, who shows occasional glimmers of originality, undercuts herself by confusing provocation for policy. There's a difference between being bold and being belligerent, being brash and being lazy. Thatcher knew it. Badenoch forgets. Or maybe has never learnt the lesson. But that's the problem with Badenoch and Truss. They both seem to rely on a single piece of paper of an aide memoir. Thatcher didn't need that because Thatcher had done the work. From that point of view, Rachel Reeves is better off. But it brings us to the heart of the matter. Thatcher, for all her faults, of which, frankly, there were many, understood politics as a battle of ideas. She thrived on contest, not compliance. She argued, she persuaded, and when she was wrong, as in Section 28 or the South African sanctions, she remained wrong, not because she was a woman, but because she was a person, fallible, driven, politically mortal. And actually, in the times when she was wrong before, she quite significantly changed. In fact, I drew up a list at one point, and I don't have it anymore. I'm elsewhere. I don't have it. But that list was all the manifesto plans for the 3 election victories she got and the actual laws that came out. And there's a big difference between the two. In other words, she wasn't pushing forward without listening. She was listening, she was changing, she was modifying. Her successors, in their desire to channel her strength, fall into parody. They imitate the posture but not the substance. Thatcher's feminism, if it existed at all, was utterly individualistic. I owe nothing to the women's movement, she said, and she meant it. She's not a feminist icon. But through sheer presence, she normalized female leadership as a viable, even inevitable phenomenon. Reeves, Truss and Badenoch stand on the shoulders of that visibility, but none of them embody the intellectual seriousness that was Thatcher's true signature. They are inheritors of her image, not her imagination. So let's put away the chiffon and the handbag and remember what Thatcher really was. A grocer's daughter who read Milton Friedman, debated Labour giants in the House, relished ideological conflict and seized power not by mimicry but by mastery. The Iron Lady cannot be summoned by silhouette alone.